John Kay is the president of the Louisiana Chapter of Americans for Prosperity. Hey, Mr. John, welcome back to KEEL. Thanks for taking time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So the 1/3 penny sales tax, temporary, 5 years, makes it through the House of Representatives, now off to the Senate, sort of a two-parter here. A, it goes to the Senate. Is that a done deal? Is it going to be a slam dunk to pass? And B, how did it make it through the House?
All right, let's start with the second part. It made it through the House because a whole bunch of people who promised tax reform instead of temporary taxes, instead of a temporary sales tax 2 years ago, decided that they were going to go back on their word, and instead of passing tax reform, they were going to extend for another 5 years a penny, or a third of a penny. As far as the Senate's concerned, I definitely think that it gets to the Senate. The question is whether or not they take that third of a penny and balloon it up to a half of a penny or more. What do they do to the bill when it gets there? I do not think that they will do it. It was probably politically the smart move, which would be to take the bill past through and send it to the governor. I think that they will take the bill, make it larger, and send it back to the House, and then these folks who voted on a third of a penny have a real tough decision to make.
John, let me ask you this: the special session's 2 weeks. They're not. We all know they're not going to accomplish tax reform in 2 weeks. So they really had no other choice. Isn't that how you see it?
I disagree. I think they could have called the governor's bluff. We have around a $30 billion budget. We've covered mid-year budget deficits that were this size in the past. This did not need to happen. These taxes did not need to be raised. I think that the governor wanted them to be raised. I think this is more of a wish list type of a request than anything. I think that there's just very little political will in Baton Rouge to take any steps to really cut the size of government. All that we've seen them do since Governor Edwards got there is this budget, which isn't quite a standstill budget, but it's close. So it means government didn't grow much from last year to this year. They have not taken the time to really dig into the budget and determine where they could or couldn't cut. They just kind of let it stay as is and decide that they wanted to fund it. They didn't do what I think is their job as legislators, and that is to really look at the functions of state government, determine what's important and what's not.
John, let me rephrase Erin's question, because they needed 70 votes to pass. They got 76, and a lot of Republicans are among those 76, a ton of Republicans. Do you think at some point that many Republicans that voted yes because the control of the purse strings lies in the governor's office, and they knew that he would make cuts that would hurt their constituents?
Possibly. I mean, these legislators are threatened every legislative session by the administration. The administration comes in and they'll either threaten them with capital outlay projects, they'll threaten them with a hospital, they'll threaten them with a school. It takes the backbone to be a legislator in Baton Rouge these days. It's always taken a backbone to be a legislator in Baton Rouge. I just don't think that we have very many backbones in Baton Rouge right now. I think that's where the problem is. We've spoken on this program about the Louisiana checkbook in the past. They haven't taken a step to pass that. They didn't attach it to this bill this time. So they're not even giving themselves the tools to really know where government spending is happening in the first place. This is one of their demands they had earlier in the year. They're not even taking that step. I think, to be completely honest with you, I think that this is more a function of laziness than it is anything else.
Let me ask you this. We're talking to John Kay, Americans for Prosperity. This is going to bring in, this third of a penny is going to bring in $300 million. But if you listen to the governor, the deficit is $600 million. Where does the other money come from? Can we get by with a $300 million fiscal cliff, or does it even exist?
I'm not even sure that it brings in that amount of money. The problem we've had for the past few years is we raise these taxes in this state. We see a fiscal note that claims it's going to bring in a certain amount of money, and then it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't bring the money that they project is taxpayers change their spending habits. And the problem they're going to run into here is there's a study out that came out just before this session started from the Pelican Institute that says that we're going to lose, as a result of passing a third penny, we're going to lose somewhere, and you have to look between the quarter penny and half penny numbers, we're going to lose somewhere around 2,000 jobs in the state and a little over $100 million in GDP. Every time they put out one of these fiscal notes on one of these short-term tax increase patches, it always happens that we bring in less money. So I'm not even sure we're going to bring in the amount of money that they say we're going to bring in. What's going to happen is, I think that the revenue estimating conference is going to meet again. They're going to recognize more oil dollars. They've been recently kind of what I think is playing games with the revenue estimating, something that I think that they've always done. But now they're playing a different game, and they're trying to short the state money. I think they're going to come back and recognize more money and try to beef up government spending even more than that amount. I think there's more money to go around than they're claiming right now.
John, we're going to have Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden on a little bit later this hour. So when I ask, well, Mr. Jay, it passed the House, this is going to be enough and all the problems are solved, right? What's he going to tell me?
He's going to say no. He's going to say if there needs to be more money. He's going to be happy that there's an instrument on the floor, is probably what he's going to say. And he's probably going to call for the Senate to do what I suspect the Senate's going to do, which is to beef that bill up and get it to a half a penny or more.
Mm. And permanent. He told us last week he wanted these to be permanent rather than temporary again.
He does. I think he said that in committee this last week. I think that there is danger in temporary taxes. Don't get me wrong. This is not me arguing for a temporary tax, but at least it's projected out far enough that REC can recognize it and they can use it. And it is it forces their hand at some point in time and doesn't allow them just to keep it on the books. It makes them come back in and take another tough vote in 5 years.
Interesting that it goes beyond the next election year, isn't it?
It's very interesting. I'm disappointed when I look at the roll call vote. Y'all actually had some pretty good folks up your way as far as this vote is concerned in the House. But I look at some of these names and I just wonder why didn't they bring a bill themselves? Why didn't they bring any tax reform themselves? What does tax reform mean to them? What were they thinking about whenever they voted for this a few years ago? Where's the imagination? Where's the political will to get something done down there? I don't see it, and I'm not sure that we're going to see it after this next election either.